What made me fall in love with brewing is really the balancing act between physical and mental effort, just the enjoyment of accomplishing something, creating something, you know, kind of like building a fort or a house or a cool Lego structure, you know, something that's complete, that's done, that you've put yourself into and made it what it is. It's not all romance and la-di-da. There's a lot of just gritty, dirty, heavy lifting. Between lifting up big, heavy 58-liter kegs or a big malt bag up over your head to throw it into a mill, a hose, holding a hose with one arm while you clamp it with the other, full of beer, cleaning up a big yeast spill after you drain a tank. There's a lot of just gross, heavy. I always go home with wet feet, and some other part of my body's wet too, whether it's my armpits or my whatever. You know, I'm never dry. I always stink. It's glamorous when you drink the beer at the end or when you measure the gravity of a beer, but there's a lot of just gritty stuff along the way too, and you get this is why I wear overalls to work. Well, brewing is it's an art and a science. There's a lot of science in brewing. There's a lot of different measurements to be taken, a lot of different variables to be controlled, and there is a science to all these variables. It really comes down to controlling the things that are not quite so visceral to the everyday person, like things like pH, things like the temperature inside of a tank, the flow rate of a pump, the flow rate of a fluid, you know, the amount of carbon dioxide in the beer. All these sort of things, they count. They count towards how the beer tastes, smells, feels inside your mouth, going down your throat, and the more we can control them, the more consistent a product we can make, and the more I can be confident handing you a beer and saying, this is my product, it's the same thing as you had last time, and it's just as great. Well, Port Hope's, it's a cool, quirky little town that it's got a lot of historic, it's a really historic looking town. It's got a lot of really neat people and neat structures, and it's inspiring. You know, walking through the streets, you can see the history here, and inspiration in itself is it manifests in my beer. You know, my beer comes from how I'm feeling, and if I'm feeling inspired, if I'm feeling good, then the beer will come out that way. It's my art form. Beer is my medium, and when I'm inspired by the interesting people that I meet here and the great things that I see here, the beer that comes out is a reflection of that. It's what kicks off the brew day, and it gives you a nice warm, fuzzy feeling inside, right? Or in your nose anyway. No, wait, that sounds... Can we cut? What excites me about making beer is just the sensory input from the brewery. You know, mashing in on brew day, the smell that comes off the mash tun, throwing the hops into the kettle, the aroma of the hops that come out of the kettle, the sounds of the bubbling. You know, I don't know if you can hear this, but when I hear nothing in a brewery except for this noise, oh, it didn't make it. Never mind. You can hear it a little bit. You can hear it a bit? Okay. Yeah, that's the fermentation happening, and there's fewer joys in this world than hearing nothing in a brewery except for the percolating of the fermentation. It's the sense of it's getting into the zone when it comes down to doing the hard, heavy lifting. You know, it's transcendental at times. You know, it's very meditative. It's a lot of it can be repetitive, but there's peace in it, right? It's tranquil when it's not insane, and it gets insane. But there's a joy of, like I said earlier, creating something and pouring your soul into something to get this wonderful result.